All right. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the regular meeting of the City Council of Needles Public Utility Authority of the City of Needles, California, Tuesday, April 26, 2022. We have an executive session starting at 5 o'clock, a little later. Mayor, members of the council may attend this meeting via Microsoft Teams. We're going to call this meeting to order and take the roll, please.
Councilmember Campbell.
Here.
Evans.
Here.
Williams.
Here.
Pageant.
Here.
Longacre.
Here.
Thank you.
We need to ask for excused absent for Councilmember Belt.
I'll move to excuse Councilmember Belt.
And you want to include Councilmember Merritt too.
Just for the closed session.
And Merritt for the closed session.
Thank you.
For the whole thing.
Second, still good. Thank you. Call for a vote.
Councilmember Campbell.
Yes.
Evans.
Yes.
Pageant.
Aye.
Longacre.
Yes.
It's
All right, we're gonna recess the city council meeting and convene a joint council MPUA meeting. We're gonna call that to order, and the roll call's already been taken. Public comments pertaining to executive session. I have a 3-minute time limit per person is established. Is there any public comment? Seeing none, we'll move to recess to executive session. Item A.
Your Honor,
So,
I have a conflict of interest on your last executive session item due to the fact that I work in cannabis.
I am shocked.
Right?
All right.
That's item D,
D.
closed session.
All right, A, council conference with real property negotiator pursuant to government code section 54956.8. Agency negotiators is somebody named Rick Daniels, the city manager, or his designee. Negotiating parties are the city of Needles as a potential license or seller, and Samuel County as a potential licensee buyer of a portion of the city-owned building located at 1111 Bailey Avenue, APN 0185-221-13-0000. And negotiations on the price and terms. B is council conference with real property negotiator pursuant to government code section 54956.8. Agency negotiators, same guy. City manager Rick Daniels or designee. I need to meet that designee. Negotiating parties are the city of Needles as a potential seller and William Kavanaugh. That's Ty, huh? Ty Kavanaugh? As the potential buyer of a portion of the property described as a 4.59 acre vacant parcel generally located south of West Broadway Street and west of the S Street flood control channel. APN 0185-071-11 under negotiations are the price and terms. C, council public employee performance evaluation pursuant to government code section 54957. City clerk. D, MPUA council conference with legal counsel regarding potential initiation of litigation pursuant to government code section 54956.9D4, one potential case. With that, we will adjourn to closed session. Thank you. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the regular meeting of the City Council and Needles Public Utility Authority for the City of Needles, California, Tuesday, April 26th, 2022. We just had an executive session. We'll have the city attorney report out.
Yes, the council met in closed session. Item A, conference with real property negotiator pursuant to government code section 54956.8. The agency negotiator, the city manager, Rick Daniels, or his designee. The negotiating parties, the city of Needles as potential licensor seller, and San Bernardino County as the potential licensee buyer of a portion of the city-owned building located at 1111 Bailey Avenue, APN 0185-221-130000. Under negotiation are price and terms. There was no reportable action taken in closed session. Item B, conference with real property negotiator pursuant to government code section 54956.8. Agency negotiator, city manager Rick Daniels or his designee. Negotiating parties, the city of Needles as potential seller, William Kavanaugh as a potential buyer of a portion of the property described as 4.59 acre vacant parcel generally located south of West Broadway Street and west of South Street flood control channel, APN 0185-071-11. Under negotiation were price and terms. There was no reportable action on that item. Next item was public employee performance evaluation pursuant to Government Code Section 54957. That was the annual evaluation of the city clerk. There was no reportable action taken. And that item will be continued to the next meeting. Am I correct, Mayor?
Yes.
That'll be continued to the next meeting, next regular meeting. And then item D was an NPA council closed session. Councilmember Longacre recused himself from that item, was not present in closed session because it involves cannabis business. He works in the cannabis industry. And that involved conference with legal counsel regarding potential initiation of litigation pursuant to Government Code Section 54956.9D4. One potential case. We did not complete the discussion on that item, and we're going to go back into closed session at the end of the meeting on that item.
Excellent, thank you. Roll call has been taken already, and Councilmember Bell has been given an excused absent. Would you please rise for invocation and pledge of allegiance? The pledge of allegiance will be led by Councilmember Merritt. Dear Lord, I ask that you please bless us, help us all get through our issues that we have in our own lives, and help us come together as one and take care of city's business. We ask that you please bless everybody in our community, everybody that's coming to our community to enjoy the life that we've been blessed to lead. We love you, Lord, we ask this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Be seated. And we'll get on with it. Approval of the agenda,
Mr. Mayor,
sir?
I had some questions today that were raised about item number 16, so I requested that be pulled off.
Okay.
Consent agenda.
16?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Pulled off the agenda or just pulled off?
I move the agenda be approved,
Consent
removal item 16.
I'm sorry?
Just pull it off the consent agenda. But do-
Oh, okay. Got it. All right. We have a motion.
I move.
We need a second.
Second.
Call for the vote.
Councilmember Campbell,
Here.
Evans,
No.
Yes.
approval of agenda?
Oh, no.
No?
Yes,
Badger,
Yes.
Baker,
Yes.
thank you.
Any conflicts of interest other than one's already been stated? Okay, the correspondence,
No, Your Honor.
introductions. I see Michael Brack is here. Michael, welcome. Good to see you again. Sean, former council member, good to see you. Don't want to miss anybody. My wife's here, Glenda. Did you hear that? He kicked me into the table. I didn't miss any council members out there. I don't think. Thank you for being here, everybody. We're going to move on to, as courtesy to those in attendance, we ask you to set your cell phones to a silent mode. Double check mine's down. I hate breaking my own rules. Okay. Public appearance. Persons wishing to address the city council on subjects other than those scheduled or requested to do so at this time. When called by the mayor, please announce your name and address for the record. In order to conduct a timer meeting, a 3-minute time limit per person has been established by Municipal Code Section 2-18. Amendments to the California Government Code Section 54950 prohibits the city council from taking action on a specific item until it appears on the agenda. Are there any public appearances? Hi, come on up, Judy. How are you? Getting there. Thanks.
Judy Thornton, 1835 South Drive, Mojave Valley. I'm from Meadows Tourism. The Route 66 Bike Week starts tomorrow through Saturday. We are part of the leg of the route named Needles to Seligman and beyond. We either start or end the route, whichever way you go. And set Friday, we're going to be in the park from 8 to 3 with a barbecue, music to greet riders. We'll do complimentary El Garza tours if anybody wants to go on one. But the museum is one of the 8 stops on the scavenger hunt. And people can come in, they get their ticket stamped or whatever they have, and then you have to take a picture with Spike to prove that you were at the museum. Great promotion for us. Great way to bring people into the city. Moving ahead on August 13th, speaking of Spike, we're going to have a birthday party for Spike. He turns 47. So we're going to open the museum and have a birthday party, cupcakes, whatever we do. And then come in and have your picture taken with Spike.
He looks good for his age.
I mean, he does. It's 1975. And the last thing is the 700 plus mile off-road event is still set for October. They're finalizing the details. It will start and stop at the El Garces. And we had a group come in Saturday morning with about 20 off-road vehicles, and they were doing the part from the El Garces to Goffs. This is going to be huge. They're going to have a dinner the night before the event at the Elks. And the museum is one of the stops. Fenders is one of the stops, and Wagon Wheel is one of the stops. And Tourism will be hosting it. Rosie is going to open her tent area out there for these off-roaders. This is for hardcore off-roaders. This is not for the faint of heart who just want to go out and ride around and put their tent and stay for the night. This is hardcore, and this is 700 plus miles. It is. It's divided into 4 segments, but you can do any of the segments. It's we can do it at your own speed. It's not a race. So anyway, we have some big things coming up, and these things always beget other events. So we're very happy with what we've been able to do. Thank you.
Judy, how do we get more information on the off-road event?
They're still finalizing that. They don't even have an exact date yet.
Oh,
But
make sure you let us know. It's a blast.
hey, I'm up here all the time. Anyway, yeah, we will. But that is going to be huge for Needles because it is going to stop and start at the El Garces, thankfully. And that came out of the Route 66 Info Fair event.
Great.
So that was good.
Thank you.
Spike's birthday, did you say?
Spike's birthday is August 13th. Mhm. So, and you're all invited down to the park on Friday. If you get a chance, come on down.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
Spike? I don't, no. He doesn't move. He stays where he is.
Sir,
My name is Travis Mellon, with 1501 Lily Hill Drive. I've been doing the murals around town. And I'm basically asking the city if they need any work done, because I haven't been able to find much, so kind of begging.
great.
And there's really not much I can't paint. I just started painting like 4 months ago, but been an artist all my life, and there's really seriously nothing I can't put on a wall. So if you need it done, I can do it.
Super.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Is there any more public appearance? All right, seeing none, we'll move on. The presentations, a 10-minute time limit per presentation has been established per Municipal Code Section 2-18. The first one is presentation by Sandy Sup, CPA, MBA, Audit Manager, Veteran Company, the final city audit report for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2021. Receive and file. Hi.
Good evening, Mayor and members of council. Sandy, there you are. Hi, can we hear you?
Oh, there you go. Is she muted?
Are you muted?
Hi,
Hi.
There you are.
I'm here.
This evening, we have the presentation of the city audit report for the fiscal year ending June 30, 21 by Sandy Sup, CPA, MBA, and Audit Manager for Vector and Associates. Vector and Company completed the City of Needles audit report on April the 5th, 2022. And this evening, Sandy will be presenting this report to you via Microsoft Teams. Sandy, please go ahead.
Okay. Good evening. As Sylvia mentioned, I'm an audit manager with Vector and Company. Just to tell you a little bit about our firm, go ahead and move the slide. Our firm is located in Sacramento. It was founded in 2005. We have 11 professional staff, including 5 CPAs and 6 CPA candidates. And we have had no negative peer review since our founding. Okay, next slide. So Craig Fector, unfortunately, he passed away about a month ago. And he was the engagement partner at the beginning of the audit, which we began last summer. And so in his place, taking his place is Scott German, who has been with the firm, I think, since it started. And and then I am the audit manager, the in-charge accountant. Okay. So this is our 4th year of auditing the city. So we audited all the funds of the city except for the NPUA and also the transit funds and the Measure I fund. So we audited all the other funds. Okay, so for the audit, the city has certain responsibilities. So the city management responsibilities include selecting the right accounting policies, and management is responsible for the preparation of the financial statements. We are hired to prepare the financial statements, but the management must sign off on these financial statements. And so ultimately the financial statements are the responsibility of the city management. And management is also responsible for the estimates, for example, depreciation and pension, other post-employment benefits, and vacation. Okay. So our responsibility as auditors is to express an opinion as to whether your financial statements are fairly presented in all material respects in conformity with GAAP. And we also must conduct the audit in accordance with generally accepted auditing standards. So we design our tests to provide reasonable assurance that the financial statements are fairly stated. We do not provide 100% in assurance, but we do not test for fraud, but we look for evidence of fraud and also for misappropriation of assets. So during our audit, we did not find any indication of any fraud or misappropriation. Okay, as far as difficulties encountered, there were no significant difficulties encountered during the audit, other than the delay in receiving the audited statements for the NPUA, because we have to, once we receive those statements, we combine them with the city's report. So, you know, the sooner we get them, the better. So that we didn't get the final version until April 6th. We were working with the draft until then, and we can't issue our final until we have their final. So. Okay, as far as corrected and uncorrected misstatements, we had 22 audit adjustments recorded this year. It's about the same number as last year. 3 of these adjustments were just to incorporate the financial statements of the NPUA and the transit funds. And probably the most significant adjustment was to record the change in the net pension liability, which resulted in an additional liability of $401,000. Okay, we had no disagreements with management. We didn't consult with any other accountants. The management representation letter was signed by the city manager and the director of finance. And we had no findings this year, which we've been auditing the city for 4 years, and this is the first year that there hasn't been a finding. And so in the last 3 years, we've had a finding for the city not properly tracking capital assets. And because the city hired a consultant to perform a valuation and inventory of the fixed assets, we were able to remove that finding this year. So that's like a huge thing. And yeah, I thank Sylvia and Barbara for all the hard work that they put into putting that together. I'm sure it was a bear. Okay, and so we have 3 reports that summarize our audit results. And the main one is our independent audit report on the financial statements. And this report was a clean opinion, or what in auditor language, unmodified. And yeah, now we give an opinion just on the financial statements. We do not give an opinion on the management discussion analysis and the supplemental information. Okay, and the report on internal control over financial reporting and compliance. We found no deficiencies in internal control. And as I mentioned before, the prior year finding was removed. So that's a good thing. Okay, so the next slide is just an overview of the 2021 revenues by fund. And the NPUA has like 52% and the general fund has 34%. I think actually the NPUA went down a couple percentages compared to last year, and the general fund increased. And I think that's due primarily to probably the increase in cannabis tax revenue. And the next slide that I have is the revenues excluding the NPUA. And as you can see, the cannabis tax is like 34% of the revenues, and property taxes is 11%, and charges for services is 27%. Okay, and then these next 3 slides just compare the 3 major liabilities of the city current year versus last year. And so compensated absences liability remained about the same. Net pension liability increased by 400,000, and other post-employment benefit was a little bit higher than last year, but about 40,000 higher. So that's all I have to share tonight. So does anyone have any questions?
Questions from the council? Good. All right. Are there any questions from the citizens? Public appearance? Okay, we're seeing that. We'll bring it back to the council for a motion.
I'll move to approve.
Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. Any further discussion? Call for the vote.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry, I'm just joking. Yeah. Sorry.
Councilmember Campbell,
Yes.
Evans.
Yes.
Merritt.
Yes.
Pageant.
Yes.
Longing.
Yes.
Excellent. Thank you. It's good to see you.
Yeah, thank you.
All right, number 2 is presentation by Michael Bracken, Development Management Group, Inc.'s Economic Investment Marketing and Branding Strategic Plan. And accept the plan is what we want to do if we're doing it. Mr. Michael, it's good to see you.
It's good as, let me make sure my stuff isn't falling over the floor here. Give me half a second. All right.
Oh, that's what I was gonna say. If you want
So this is working real quick. Patrick. All right. Don't handle that part. It's okay. I will, why did I point? No, I'll just point. I'll just go like this. We're okay. Well, first of all, good evening. It's been a while since I've been out here. I think we've been, all of us, through a couple tough years, but it's good to be back and remember that business is really done through relationships, and that's really going to be the highlight as we go through this. So the purpose of the plan, over there, okay, there we go. Purpose of this plan really is this, and that is to provide a branding and marketing plan that will garner additional economic investment in the community. That's the whole concept, obviously, of economic development. This plan here is as much a branding plan as it is a marketing plan, because now that the community is starting to grow, it's time to really have a brand, a moniker. Who are you? What is the why in who you are in attracting new economic investment? So what I now have before you is really a 3-year plan that's based on that concept. So these plans are not done in a vacuum. Even if you haven't seen me, we've been talking with a lot of people. This actually goes back to right before the pandemic started. I think the last in-person meetings I took were some group meetings in this community as we started to put this together. But it includes community input, economic research, looking at what market trends are. And that's an important point, because we froze this plan for a bit of time during the assembly of it because of COVID. Because we had to see how was the world going to change. So for example, if I told you that drive-through restaurants nationally today do on average 80% more business than they did 3 years ago, 80%. That's almost a doubling of business, drive-through. Well, the reason obvious is fairly obvious. But we look then at the regional analysis and your community analysis. And what are those opportunities and what are your attributes? And that's how we come up with first the brand and then the marketing plan behind it. So the next slide, and Rick always yells at me if I read a slide directly. I'm reading it, Rick, because it's a definition, sir. I've known Rick for more than half my life, and he's not just a boss, but a friend and a mentor. So it's, as we all know, that's kind of one of his bugaboos with his team.
Kind of like a grandpa.
I wasn't going that far. What is a brand? The brand is a promotion of a particular product or service or company by means of advertising and a distinctive design. That's what a brand is. So when you see Coca-Cola, you know just by looking at that logo, or Pepsi, before you even see the words, that's a brand. Ford, if you see a blue oval, you know what that means. And the application of this brand for you is going to be relative to attracting retail, attracting additional home opportunities, attracting industrial and commercial development beyond the industry that you've brought in over the last few years, and also bringing more tourism and visitation. So what is the brand? And what we've come up with, and I'm going to show you variations in a second here, is live the point. Live the point. Think about that for a second. You're in Needles. You're surrounded by these amazing mountains. And the mountain ranges, we all know, have very distinctive features, hence the name of your community. So when we looked at all of that and started saying, okay, well, what is it that can be geographically distinctive, but also speak to who you are as a community? And we'll go to the next slide and you'll see how this plays out. So we start with live the point. But home's at the point. You have business at the point. You shop the point. You visit the point. You dine at the point. Essentially, it's almost endless what you can do with this. And if you look at communities and brands that have distinctive monikers and logos, they can transform over time. This allows you to do that and speak to various audiences. So the next part of it is going to be a little bit tongue in cheek because some wise guy is going to say, oh, cute. What's the point? I'm glad you asked. What's the point? You know, the point, and I'm going to ad-lib a little bit, is when you drive up to go to a city council meeting and one of the state, I'll call it the two states, best softball team is up there practicing, getting ready for playoffs, right? It's a community where people are bringing their motorcycles in because they're going to spend the next 4 days riding around in rallies. It's a place where a city council, a town council still gets together and shakes hands and gives each other a hug. And when they ask how are you, they actually care. That's the point. And that's who you are. What's really neat is this. We watched this huge transformation in the last 2.5 years because of COVID. But you know what didn't change a whole lot? This community. Because this community is made up of people who actually really care about each other. And they would call and say, hey, can I pick up a prescription? Hey, do you have paper towels? I think we've all had that problem. So now let's go through the 4 food groups of this as quick as reasonably possible. So we'll start with retail. And you're going to see a reoccurring theme in these, and we'll go through them very quickly. But it's based on relationships. The ability to attract economic investment is based on relationships. It's not based on slick ads in magazines. It's based on getting to know people. It's based on the fact, and he'll call, and I will call him on the way home to let him know I used his name. You know, Rick, it's chasing Sherrod Kadakia for 6 years to get him to build a hotel because of relationships, right? That's how you build business. So retail, the core of this is the relationships we build and develop at Acre and ICSC and other places where we can shake hands and hug people and talk numbers and opportunities. But it's also going to be based on what retailers on a regional and national level are already in the river region. Why? Because that's your distribution. You know, I was driving around for a couple hours before the meeting tonight, and I watched a Smart and Final truck get off the freeway and head across the bridge. That's the last thing I want to see, unless they had stopped to fill a store here on their way. So the next slide is just a matrix, which is too small for most of you to see from there. But the point of that is here's the plan, month by month, over the next few years, about how you go after things. I can go into more detail in a second if you choose to. So let's go to the residential growth. You need approximately 1,200 new housing units yesterday, based on what you and your planning commission and Rick and Patrick have been doing to bring in a whole new industry. There are not enough housing units here. We need to see immediately the conversion of some of the older hotels that are no longer being used as hotel motels into housing units, and we need housing developers to come here. In terms of relationships, so it's where the Building Industry Association comes in, and also looking at the existing companies that are building homes within the region to bring them over on this side of the river. Again, this is the housing matrix that goes with it, and then we'll go into your industrial opportunities. Certainly one of the things that I heard over and over is, hey, we're glad that cannabis is here. Look at the jobs, look at the economic investment. And if it didn't come here, and this is where each of you were visionaries, it would have gone elsewhere in California. You got to it first. And there was risks in that, but it worked. But now, what other industrial opportunities can you get? Couple things that are going on. One, the Inland Empire, the traditional Inland Empire, is chasing away distribution as quick as they can right now. They're trying to move it up into Barstow. I was actually on a conference call with Joe Brady yesterday, going over all of that, and it's going to start coming this way. Why? Because Ontario, Miraloma, Paris, Rancho Cucamonga, you name it, Beaumont, they don't want it. The opportunities there on relationships are with the Inland Empire Economic Partnership, because that's part of your line, and SIOR, which is the Society of Industrial and Office Realtors. It's a subset of commercial brokers, and this is exactly what they do. So that's the industrial matrix. Again, we can talk about that in a second. We'll go on to the last one, which is tourism and visitation. Look, you already know you got 15, 20,000 cars a day coming through here. And the key is this: short of a toll road, which Rick and I have joked about, we need them to get off the freeway, spend money, not litter, and then continue on or stay here and stay a few nights, bring their motorcycle, bring their boat, spend money, have a beer, not while they're driving their boat, and have a good time and then go home. You know, the definition of tourism is this: they import money and you export memories. That's really what tourism is all about. So, and then we'll go to the tourism matrix, which again, we can go into if you choose. And then that is kind of the end of the presentation there. We can go into as much detail as you want, but I probably went over the 10 minutes.
You're still good.
I have 45 seconds. Wow.
No.
He has known you for a while.
It's okay, Rick.
Mayor, this is Mayor
Yes.
of the council. There are 4 clusters of businesses that we are chasing. One is retail, and Michael and a number of you have done the ICSC experience where we're presenting ourselves to new retail businesses. I know Doc and Ellen went last year, and we're going to get the rest of you there in later days. Tourism, we are spending money on a visitor center. And the operator of that visitor center will be our primary outreach on creating more tourism. The home builders, I put it on your desk, each of you a pamphlet that Michael Bracken has prepared for us. And we are going to be in the process of sending these out to thousands, hundreds, if not thousands of home builders about the opportunities that Needles presents. And then the last one is, or the fourth one is industrial. And what Michael is doing with us is helping us to identify other industries that would benefit from cheap power in compared to where they're at right now. Because most of the rest of Southern California is at 35 cents a kilowatt. We're at a flat rate of 12. So, but there are a number of those types of industries that we are now going to also be making an effort to get in front of them. Go to their trade shows, run ads. Back to the home builders. Patrick and I had a chance to go to Coachella Valley Economic Partnership Economic Summit last Thursday. We are going to do we're going to be their monthly program at the Desert Valley Builders Association, which are all the home builders in the Coachella Valley. And then there's a Mount Baldy section of Building Industry Association. We're going to try and get to be part of their program 1 month. And we need to stimulate the entrepreneurs in the building industry to take a look at Needles. But this plan is our best effort to lay out a strategy for moving this community forward in terms of marketing, section the city. So with that, Michael is the expert. Patrick and I have been listening.
Yeah, I do want to add something. I should have put this in presentation. For those of you that are going to ICSC this year or have been in the past, and it's in about less than 4 weeks, for the first time ever, the city of Needles will have its own dedicated booth. I've been a part of ICSC for 30 years, and somebody owed me a favor because of something I did during the pandemic to help them out. The city of Needles will have a booth. It's only 200 square feet, but it is on Retail Row in the South Hall. So if you know what that means because you've been there, you are literally right across from Wendy's and Walgreens and Rite Aid and the rest of Retail Row. And I'm over the moon about the fact that 2 smaller communities that I represent, Imperial and Needles, will actually have a real booth presence and aren't just kind of invading to try and save a few bucks. So I'm actually really excited for you.
What's the date?
The 23rd and the 24th. So it'll be a full day Monday and a 2/3 day Tuesday. So it is a slightly different format where it was 2 full days and a half day because of the pandemic and some other things. So it'll be Monday, the 23rd, and then Tuesday, the 24th. And I believe on the 24th, it's from 9 to 2. And so I'm actually in the process of setting appointments now. As of this morning, I think we have 7 confirmed appointments for the 2 days. My goal, I'm going to try and do things a little different this time. I'm going to try and probably have between 10 and 12. I've in the past, as all of you know, I've tried to turn it into a contest of how many meetings I can take, and I'm getting too old to do that. And I've realized the quality of meetings needs to be better. So,
Members of
Sure.
the council, the action that you're being asked tonight is to accept the plan. And then what Patrick and I will do will be to schedule presentations wherever two or more are gathered, but to the chamber, to any group of people that want to hear about what the city's economic strategy is. And then we'll bring those comments back for adoption of the plan. And then it will be part of our, become part of our general plan.
Excellent. Any questions from the council to staff or Michael? Okay, so we need a motion.
I will move to approve.
I'll second it.
Any further discussion? We'll call for a vote.
Councilmember Campbell.
Yes.
Evans. Barrett.
Yes.
Pageant.
Aye.
Longacre.
Yes.
Thank you, Michael. Appreciate it.
Yes, thank you, Michael.
Okay, number 3. Terry Pilawa, I hope I said that right. One Legacy Ambassador will share her organ transplant story and receive a proclamation naming April 2022 as National Donate Life Month. Okay.
Hello.
Hi.
Hi, my name is Terry Palawa. I'm a One Legacy ambassador. I've been an ambassador since 2017. I am also a double lung transplant recipient. And my transplant was June 24th, 2015. I was diagnosed with pulmonary fibrosis at the age of 40. I am 52 today, and I'll be 53. Because of my donor said yes to donation, she saved my life. But not only did she save my life, she saved another person's life with her heart. So I received her lungs and another person received her heart. My donor, I was very blessed to meet them after a One Legacy Donate Life run walk that will be happening in June. After that day, I had met my donor's family. By request, I had written 2 letters. And I got to meet my family. And it was just remarkable knowing that her daughter was only 21 years old and said yes to donation because she had mentioned to her parents that if anything were to happen to me, that I want to help others. And this came from the lips of her mother. And that's something tragic had happened to her. And that's what her mom had told me, that her last thoughts, even at such a young, tender age, was to help others. And she saved me. And I'm here to advocate Donate Life. I'm here to advocate organ donation. And thank you for having me here. And thank you for the proclamation, because it means a lot to me. And it means a lot to thousands of people, because there's over 100,000 people waiting for a life-saving organ transplant. So talk about it with your families. Say yes when you're at your DMV and put that dot on your driver's license and save or enhance lives, because that's the only way we can have a second chance of life. So thank you very much for letting me share my story to you.
Thank you. Let me read this proclamation. I don't know if you can come up here so we can get a picture with the seal, or I can come down there, whatever's easier for you.
I can't go up the stair.
Okay, I'll come down there. You read this up here first. This is a proclamation for DMV Donate Life Month. Whereas organ, eye, tissue, marrow, and blood donation are life-giving acts recognized worldwide as expressions of compassion to those in need. And whereas more than 100,000 individuals nationwide and more than 20,000 in California are currently on the national organ transplant waiting list, and an average 17 people die each day while waiting. And whereas the need for donated organs is especially urgent in Hispanic, Latino, and African American communities, and whereas a single individual's donation of a heart, lung, liver, kidneys, pancreas, and small intestine can save up to 8 lives, and whereas donation of tissue can save and heal the lives of more than 75 others, and whereas organ donors saved more than 40,000 lives last year, the most ever, and whereas any person can register to be an organ, eye, and tissue donor regardless of age or medical conditions, and whereas being a registered donor does not impact the quality of life-saving medical care a person receives in an emergency, and whereas California residents can sign up with the Donating Life California Donor Registry online at any time by visiting www.donatelifecalifornia.org, or for Spanish speakers, www.donvitacalifornia.org. Whereas California residents can sign up to be an organ, eye, and tissue donor when applying for or renewing their driver's license or ID cards at the California Department of Motor Vehicles. And whereas California residents interested in saving a life through living kidney donation may visit www.livingdonationcalifornia.org. Now, therefore, be it resolved that in recognition of National Donate Life Month, the month of April 2022 is hereby proclaimed DMV Donate Life Month in the City of Needles. And in doing so, we encourage all Californians to check yes online or when applying for renewing your driver's license or ID card at the DMV. Dated this 26th day of April 2022, Jeffrey H. Williams, Mayor, City of Needles, California. And as most of you know, it's near and dear to my heart, and this was just kind of a God sent me here to this meeting tonight to do this, because I'm waiting for a kidney, as most of you know, and it's a tough way to go, but thank you for bringing this to everybody's attention and putting this out.
Thank you, Mayor. I'm also have third stage kidney disease because of all the transplant medications that I'm on.
Get you this.
Jenny, you want to come next? Okay. Come on up.
Ontario.
There you go.
Subcapital.
Thank you.
And I have one transplanted USA.
If I didn't see you, so.
Okay, now they, yes.
A little better.
Yeah.
You stay there, too. There.
Yep.
Yeah. So. Oh, my goodness, that's bad. Steps were a little rough for me too. That was good.
Thank you so much.
Nice plan. Some fibrosis stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, she's from Ontario.
Yeah.
Okay. That's the last of our presentations. Public comments pertaining to the council items. 3-minute time per person has been established. We have the consent calendar first. All matters listed on the consent calendar are considered to be routine and will be enacted by one motion in the form listed. The mayor and any member of the city council may pull an item from the consent calendar for discussion. Prior to council action, a member of the public may address the city council on matters scheduled on the consent calendar. A 3-minute timer per person applies. The recommended action is approve items 4 through 15 on the consent calendar by affirmative roll call vote. We already had 16 pulled. We'll discuss after we do the consent. So is there anybody who wants to pull anything? Seeing none, we need a motion.
I move to approve 1 through 15.
Second.
Thank you, Ellen. Thank you, Zach. Call for a vote.
Councilmember Campbell. Yes. Evans.
Yes.
Merritt.
Yes.
Patchen.
Aye.
Lyon.
Yes.
All right. 16 is approve the third amendment to the professional service agreement for building support services with Wildan, increasing the contract compensation to an amount not to exceed $198,000. Rick?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council. In 2021, the council awarded in response to an RFP for the Wildan company to provide building inspector services. We have a building official who's spent this time doing city engineering in the building department. We had building permit activity, which was in excess of that person's time to do. So the Hampton Inn paid for a part of this. Will be the inspector. We had a 150,000 square feet of cannabis development that wanted their projects at the top of the list at all times. So Stisley paid for part of the cost of this. We had a visitor center going on, and then we had a lot of building activity. So we have been using Wildan for field inspections, and they've provided a field inspector. Our building official has been doing plan checks and field inspections when they can. And Patrick, can you take it from there? Sure. So the request is to add some additional money to the amount for handling the building plan reviews and inspections between now and the end of the fiscal year.
So our goal is to provide a streamlined permitting process here in the city of Needles. We want to ensure that when developers and applicants provide us with applications, we're able to turn it around in a reasonable manner. This gives us the ability to do that and provide the services that we want to give to our developers, our residents, our applicants, the individuals that come in contact with our building department.
So year to date, we've taken in $173,000 of revenue, and we project that we will need another 25,000 in either an advance from the reserves to cover that, or anticipated building permit, plan check and building permit fees. But we have outstanding invoices that need to be paid. And I know there's some questions, so I'll be glad to take any questions.
Council have questions on this issue? Sounds to me like if they need the expedited service, they pay for it.
Right.
So, oh, great. Ellen, do you have something? Oh, yeah, I'm sure. Yep. Go ahead, wait.
So this, the Hampton Inn should be done by what, June, July, correct?
I think they're scheduling August, 1st September.
And the 150,000 square foot of cannabis is, I assume, a lot of stizzy,
Yes, they're.
and they don't have any other permits pulled in this time, correct?
No, but they are, you're right, they have a permit that they're going to hearing on May 11th
Correct.
for a building up at Lily Hill. And then they're expecting to complete the first building out on Victory in June, and expecting to complete 2 buildings in July and 1 in August. And then they have an application that they're working on right now for 300,000 square feet.
And this is a subcontracting inspector, not a
Yes.
city employee, correct?
Correct, because I'm not convinced that we're gonna have the same level of activity next year.
And our inspector right now is providing two services with engineering and inspecting.
Yeah, but primarily he does plan checking, which is the engineering review of plans. But right now, we're using the Wildan inspector primarily to do field inspections.
And
At 200 grand? Can we hire another inspector
Well,
for
we
200
could-
grand a year?
Or we could, because anytime you contract, it's for a contract employee, they're expensive. So we could go out to bid and see if we can get a lower rate for another firm to provide us a building inspector. But what we're looking for is just enough money to get to July 1st.
And this is all reimbursable though, what we're talking about. If they need the extra service or they want expedited, they pay.
Yeah.
Okay, so this is just budgeting money to pay them, we get reimbursed?
Yeah.
Okay,
will,
wait,
is that a
Yeah.
for sure thing that we
Well,
get?
that's the way we've been
We
doing it.
expect that the plan checks for, as soon as the planning commission and you act on the Lily Hill cannabis project, if it's approved, they will submit plans for that building. And that'll have to be reviewed and then inspected. And then if they get their plans done for 300,000 square feet on South 95, then those plans will come. But it's a very high likelihood that those will be, there'll be that building activity. But I'm not prepared to hire another building inspector
And have
right
it,
now.
and have it fall out in a year and a half?
Well, yes, but the time we need a building inspector, I'll be the first one because it's cheaper to have our own. But I just want to make sure that we have a building activity that's forecastable
Yeah.
at a level that will meet.
So we do not have our own building inspector right now.
No,
So come August, if we keep receiving applications, are we gonna entertain? Are we
I'm
just gonna
ready to
keep-
go out for see if there's somebody who can provide us that service at a lower rate.
Thank you, that's all I had there.
Any other question?
We do. I'm gonna go back and re-answer
Wait.
Councilor Evans' question if I might. That is, we have a building official who's a certified building inspector, a civil engineer, and a certified building official. He can do inspections. But the higher level is in plan review. So we could contract out, and one person in the department's not enough. So we could have him do field inspections and contract for engineering review of the plans, but that's gonna be at a higher rate.
Is this position being paid for all three of those positions or two of those positions? The position we have in there right now, is it being
Right.
paid for inspector and engineering and
Yes, yes. So part of his time gets billed to capital projects, where he does the engineering work for those capital projects.
Ellen,
no more questions?
thank you.
So what happens is when this building inspector, when they do all these plans, then those plans have to go into approval. So that's where it takes out
Yes,
our person that could be doing this stuff because they're busy doing inspection of all the plans.
Right.
And approval of all that stuff.
but, we can all do a better job. And one of the things that we've kicked off is performance standards. There is no reason, and I've been checking with other communities, that the plan review for a typical single-family home, other communities, for example, Bullhead uses 7 to 10 days for plan reviewer to review all the plans. And then we give them back and then they make changes and come back and issue permits. And then once an inspection is called for, right now, we're able to do that either that day or within 24 hours, which is a high level of service. So it's, the job is beyond what one person can do. And the complexity like the hotel. But the hotel, if they get done in August and open in September, that'll be in the next fiscal year. So we're just trying to get through this fiscal year.
I like the way you've come up with this idea of doing this. It's really efficient. And the city's been getting nothing but praise for getting this done, especially if they've ever worked or built in another community. So, are there any more questions? Sean? Oh, Sean, sorry, public input. We can do it before or after. Let's let Sean go now. Hate to have him get up again.
Thank you, Your Honor.
You bet.
Good seeing you here again.
Thank you.
Good evening, Council. Yeah, this, it's a big number for inspections, and the unfortunate part is that, the big companies, Stizzy, the Hampton Inn, can afford that. So when we're sending our contracted inspector out to do an inspection for someone who wants a pool, retaining wall, something outside that level, now our costs to our residents and our smaller projects are going up because we're recouping that cost for that inspection from, or we're eating it in-house because we don't have it budgeted. So yeah, it's tough for the big projects, but for the minor, smaller projects, it's more of a burden and going to be more cost. There's no way around that. I mean, we have to recoup our costs. So let's say Dr. Padler wants to go clear his house next to his property, put a wall around and build another home. That home inspection is going to cost more for that contractor inspector to go out there than it is if we had one in-house that could share some other duties. So 200 grand is a large number to swallow for contracting services. And it's eventually going to bite us in the butt because people aren't going to want to put permits because the extra cost, because we have a high rate inspector out there. Thank you.
But Rick, you want to address that? Because don't we have the small things we do in-house, right?
We can, well, first of all, part of what the contract inspector is, they also can do, this firm, Wildan, they've done some plan reviews. Like there was a point in time, and I'll use some pools as an example. We had 3 pool permits in here. And our building official fell behind reviewing those pools. And what we did is we sent 2 of those pools out to Wildan to do the plan review. So it's just not the inspector that's part of that 198. It's, I know in that case, we did at least 2 pools by Wildan's plan reviewer engineer. So but we can have our building official do some of the more routine, simpler inspections as well. But that means he won't be getting the plan reviews done. So we're fortunate to have more development than is going on, but we're setting performance standards. So we're tracking when a plan comes in, it's stamped, and we're tracking how many days it takes to get them done. And if we see indication of slippage, then, and not getting them done in a timely manner, then I may be back asking for an inspector. I don't think we're there yet. So in July, we're gonna be looking at this hard.
In a situation like that, it's talking about the pools or whatnot, it would be up to the owner or the builder if he wants to sit and wait to get the city rate, or if he wants to have it expedited and go out, he'd have that option also as far as cost wise.
They could, but I hate to have someone wait.
Sure, no, it would be their choice. We wouldn't do it if we could help it. All right, wait, go ahead.
This was made public, so I'm gonna go out there and say it. Somebody needs to go talk to Mr. Fregoso about his pool. That was done by city, correct? And
Jesse?
Ronnie.
Oh,
Up there on the roll court.
Yeah,
Oh,
yeah, that was one that when I looked at it, because they brought it up to me, and I went and met with their project manager who was dealing with that. And we were trying to do all three of those pool plan checking, and it was taking too long. They were stacked up. So we took two of those and sent them out to get expedited.
any further questions for staff? Sounds like it's being addressed. Any comments from the public? Any motion?
Move to approve.
We have a motion, we have a second.
I'll second.
Thank you. Okay, call for the vote.
Councilmember Campbell. Yes. Evans.
No.
Barrett.
Yes.
Pageant.
No.
Longacre.
Yes.
What do we got now?
Who knows? Yes. I think we got four.
Yes,
There's no ordinance.
yeah.
No, but it's an order for payment of money. So.
Do we owe them, don't we owe them money?
Yes,
We have to pay someone we owe money. We can't. Yes.
Do you want to reconsider the vote in light of that comment or stand as is?
Then reconsider.
What happens when we don't pay them?
Get sued.
Is
the money owed?
Yes.
It's owed.
Some of it.
Yeah, a lot of it's owed to them.
yes.
So we're trying to pay them and just float a little bit to the end of the year.
So the motion and the second are still good. We're just gonna revote
Well,
since that comment was made. Is that what you're saying?
the question is, given that the money's owed, do you want to reconsider the vote? Because as it stands right now, you're probably going to end up in a dispute
So
with this contract.
there's,
Well, I ain't got $198,000 in my pocket.
no. It's roughly 25,000.
Oh, that's what we owe. Plus, this is moving forward to get us through the end of the fiscal year.
Yes, yes, sir.
All right, I'll change my vote.
Okay, so we revote.
Well, I think you've just had the vote changed by one of the members and you have the votes now.
That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, you got that, Dale? Okay. Moving on. Regular items. 17 is ordinance number 649 AC, amending chapter 12 entitled Licenses, adding short-term residential rentals to the Needles Municipal Code. Now, Dale,
Let me take this.
what might be helpful is when an item comes up like this, put on there, I need 4 votes to pass or something like that, so we're not discussing this during the meeting, like it's an ordinance,
Okay.
or we're to spend money. Okay,
Okay.
that might help moving forward. Go ahead, Rick.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, you held a public hearing on short-term rentals, and that's where somebody takes their single-family home in a residential neighborhood and rents it out for a weekend or a week to private individuals, much like a hotel room. We took copious notes of the testimony and comments, and in your packet is a revised ordinance which incorporates the changes, and we showed them in red. So for example, on page 5 of the ordinance, there was a question about whether it was an annual permit or an every other year permit. We clarified that it is an annual permit. And then on page 7 of the ordinance, there was discussion about parking, because there was a request that right now the ordinance, as previously was written, that all parking had to be on street. Well, on some of these houses, there might be 3 cars, but you can only fit 2 in the driveway. So what we did is we amended it to allow them to park on the street, but only in front of the house. That's the short-term rental. They can't park in front of the house down the street. Follow me?
Yes.
Okay. So we made that change. And then there was discussion about the need to have somebody that could be on site in the event of a problem. Police, fire, ruckus, whatever. We needed somebody representing the owner there, and the previous one, this was written some 30 minutes. Well, council, I read from the council that you wanted that perhaps 60 minutes to give a property manager, and this could be a friend, cousin, whatever. But we want somebody, if there's a problem there, that we want a representative of the owner that we can get a hold of and help us resolve the urgent matter that there is. So we incorporated the changes that the council directed. So our recommendation would be to approve the second reading, and it will be in effect 30 days from that.
Great. Any questions from staff? Okay. Any discussion? Is there any public input? Seeing none, we'll move on. We need a motion. Okay, we have a motion. We have a second. Any further discussion? Yes, sir.
So this is just the amendment to what the council passed.
Yes, yes,
And I did vote no on the first.
right. But we included those.
Well, yeah, but the reason I voted no was because of the $400. I looked at it as because we're still going to look at putting something on the ballot.
Dealing with.
Right.
For the tax.
And this just, to me, seems like another way to, hey, you want to bring business here? I know it's not that much per year. I know it's not, but you can bring business needles and we're gonna get you for something here. That's the reason I voted no the first time, and I just wanted to make that clear. I wanted to make it clear that this was just an amendment to the original.
It is.
Okay.
Did we have a motion? And a second. When he was on the council, he knows I called for public input, brought it back to the council for discussion, and he stands up. Tim, do you have something to add?
Just want to know when it's going to go into effect if it's passed.
30 days from tonight.
From tomorrow.
Yeah. Yeah, do we have a motion in a second? Okay, call for the vote.
Councilmember Campbell? Yes. Evans?
No.
Merritt?
Yes.
Badger?
Yes.
Longacre?
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, 18 is ordinance number 650 AC, amending section 15A-7, designated skateboarding areas, hours of operation.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, at your last meeting, staff came forward with an effort to standardize the park closures. And I think we presented it in a confusing manner. And candidly, I was not aware that you could fish at night in California. I am now. So what this version does is it keeps all of the parks as is. So the fishermen that are out along the river are left alone as is. The only thing that we felt we needed to make a change was the skate park had hours of operation from dusk to dawn. And we felt that needed definition, so we put in there, or suggesting that it be 10 PM to 9 AM or to 5 AM. That the skate park be closed. And those are the same hours as the curfew.
Oh, yeah.
So all the other parks stay exactly the way they are, except skate park we define. Now, I need to admit that if you look at line 1 in that cover sheet, it says the hours of operation for the skate park shall be 10 PM to 5 AM.
Great, the kids will love that.
There won't be that many.
Perfect in summer hours.
Dale was astute enough to catch it, and there's an addendum sheet that I think she's provided.
Yes, I think that's.
So, sorry.
That's when I like to skate.
There were four of us that read this, and neither one of us got it. So,
We like to.
correct.
In July, it's
I read it,
100
didn't
still at 10 p.m.
And we mentioned you and I, bikes, first of all, you can even see that. real quick.
Right, okay, in the skate park section, it says basically no bikes in
Right.
the skate park. Now, that really has been part of our rules all along. It was never enforced. We're gonna leave that as it is until the bike park
Yeah.
gets built. So people used to, well, banana seat, small bikes, they're different. Dates. They could go ahead and continue to use the bikes in the skate park until the bike track gets built,
Yeah.
which will probably be fall.
And one other question, Rick, with our conversation today, you had mentioned something about all parks, something about the state having a,
Well, here's the issue and what drove us to bring it forward in the first place. Is if the parks have no hours they're closed to the public, then people can go camp,
Yeah.
stay overnight in the parks. So all parks have to have hours that they're not open to the public, or else, and that's necessary for law enforcement, to be able to tell people you can't set up a tent here in the city park, or you can't roll out a sleeping bag here at City Park from whether it's midnight to 5 or 10 to 5 AM. There has to be some closed hours.
Yeah.
1 and 2 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, there has to be some time that parks are closed in order for us to enforce that.
You know, we tried to enforce the no bikes and no scooters because when Tony Hawk was out, he said that, you know, they gouged the concrete up with their little, the ramps or the pegs or whatnot. And so we tried to enforce it. It was just impossible to enforce. That's why we started really looking at APA, like a bicycle BMX racetrack, something for them to do.
Well, and it's the bikes that come out
Yeah.
at a higher speed and greater travel distance, which cause the blue
Bunch of fence,
fence out there to really get knocked over. Because it's just, but we got that fixed. We got a chain link fence that's further out.
But it's still, we do need that rule in there. So when that track does open, they can go over there. But we don't, I mean, we're gonna be in there patching concrete all the time if we don't try and enforce it. But the first,
So what we did is we just leave it alone until we have a place for the bikers, the guys, the kids on bikes to do their thing.
great. Any further discussion? It's the first reading.
I have a question.
Go right ahead.
We keep the lights on all night in the park?
You know,
should.
I was under.
We need to. I don't know that we do.
Yeah, I think
they
they're
turn
on,
off.
I think they're on all night for security reasons.
Yeah.
Because of vandalism.
Right, so that when the sheriff goes by the park,
You
Yeah.
see
people in the
people,
park, and we have cameras in the park,
Yes.
and you can see better on those cameras that are going right to the sheriff's
That's correct.
department. That there's lights on, and it deters shenanigans.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not gonna stop it, but it's gonna deter it if the lights are on. Those lights are off, those little minions are gonna come out like those little green Girl Scouts. So
All right, no further discussion. Call for a motion. A second, please.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
Thanks, Wade. Okay, thank you, Zach. Call for the vote.
Councilmember Campbell,
yes.
Evans.
Yes.
Merritt.
Yes.
Paget.
Yes.
Longacre.
Yes.
Thank you.
Excellent. 19, review and authorize the mayor to sign a letter of support for legislations proposed by Senator Shannon Grove.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, members of the council, this was on your last agenda, but it was involved a lot of reading. Senator Grove has introduced the following legislation, and there's 7 bills that she's introduced in the Senate. Behind the cover sheet is the bill with an explanation and then a draft letter of support. So if the council wants to support all of them, we would write a letter for the mayor to send support them all. If you want to support none of them, then we would do nothing. If there are some that you want to support, then we could, let's say you want to support 2 out of the 7. Then, we could do that. Now, legislation is truly making sausage. You don't want to watch it. Because while a bill might start off great, that we want to give disabled veterans a property tax exemption. Sounds good. But during the legislative process, I've seen good bills like that stripped and stuffed. So they may take that title, leave it the same, and strip it of what's in there now and stuff in something that's offensive to people in this community. So if you sign off on any one of these, we will put it on a monitoring list and we will keep track of what committees it's gone through and what the status is. And if they vary from the way it's written today, we'll bring back and ask you to withdraw your support. But we'll track everything that's on this list.
Excellent. Any discussion or questions for staff?
That was my biggest concern is, because, this sounds great. Of course we want human trafficking to be a violent felony, but then it is awful. But, I just hate the fact that then it goes into California and who knows what they're gonna do with it. And then who knows what it's gonna be when it ends up. So that's why, if we do sign off on any of these letters, I do want you guys to definitely watch them.
Hey, we need a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve all seven, our support, all 7 bills.
Okay, need a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? Call for the vote.
Member Campbell? Yes. Evans?
Yes.
Merritt?
No.
Paget?
No.
No.
Longacre?
Yes.
Okay. So that passed. Move forward and bring it back for any updates. Okay.
We got three.
Yeah.
So we're passed.
All right, city attorney's report.
I have nothing this evening.
Okay. City manager's report.
You're making me look bad, John. We, as I informed you before, the new playground equipment that Legacy was providing us was delivered last week. We have placed a temporary container at Duke's Watkins and have moved all the playground pieces of equipment into that container. The contractor, I was informed today, will be mobilizing May 2nd to assemble all that. So I would like to invite counselors to a groundbreaking ceremony on May 3rd. If you're available. And I'll give you the specifics about when. So we'll start, it'll be morning. We remember, what's that? Next Tuesday. Yes, sir.
I'm at Cedar Sinai that day.
So,
You gotta work.
you remember you guys approved the spay and neuter program, and then Brady and our grant writer and Tony Rubalcaba sought funding. We were awarded $7,500 from, oddly enough, the California Department of Food and Agriculture to do spay and neuter clinics.
For the homeless
Now,
or?
connection between food and ag and spay and neuter escapes me, but
We just say thank you.
so what we'll do is we will either do additional clinics or we will cut the price of the, I think they were charged $30 or whatever. So we got $7,500 that I'll just sign the letter and we have that available.
Do you have any idea when they anticipate that being?
First one is within 10 days or so. First one's coming up.
Okay.
I'll get you the flyer.
Saturday.
This Saturday.
Yeah, Saturday. And I'll get Tim the flyer to put on his cable chain. As I mentioned, Patrick and I attended the Coachella Valley Economic Partnership Economic Summit. And we distributed and talked to dozens of people about give Needles a second look. Give Needles, we want you to come out here. We are working with a consultant on upgrades to our electrical system, primarily the extension of the Park and Lobby line down to Pirates Cove. I've been asked to sit on a committee that SCAG has organized regarding goods movements, which leads me to a proposal that we had 9 years ago to create an intermodal center here where trucks would pull off, load their containers onto rail cars that would then rail into the ports and cut down on traffic. Excuse me, cut down on traffic and air pollution in the LA basin. So that opens that up again.
Good.
We've had a lot of people that have raised issues about mental health services. I had the chance to meet with the school superintendent, who said that she doesn't have counseling available for school kids. Also, the community crisis response team is funded, but we're still forcing the sheriff's office to transport those in need of mental assistance to, rather than a social worker. So we're taking off the street one of the 2 cops that we have to transport people. And we were invited by Supervisor Don Rao to provide her with what we saw as something that could help people needing mental health assistance here in the community. I have been trying to meet the last couple of days with the Needles Housing Authority. We have the only city housing authority. The rest of the county is covered by the county housing authority. Housing's our biggest problem, our biggest challenge, development challenge. So housing authorities have special funding mechanisms and grants are available just to them that cities aren't available. So I want to meet with them, be on their agenda, talk to them. We are responsible for appointing 2 of their board members, and we need to engage them to where they're an implementing agency of the city's goal to get more housing. And the last thing I had is I met with Mr. Ty Kavanaugh, who owns the Red Dog, but he also purchased Burger Hut, about his plans to move forward with that. He had some very serious health problems. He's lucky to be alive, but he has also purchased a gas station next to the old Ford dealership car lot on the railroad side of Broadway. That he is putting in a auto repair that somebody had. He purchased that property and an auto repair company is looking to go in there. He also purchased Retro Pizza and has a pizza parlor operator that's doing deep dish Chicago style. San Clemente, somebody who's in it. So they're taking over Retro and they're going to be putting that business in. And then he wants to do the boat storage that we talked about. So we continue to work on recruiting new properties. So
that explains a lot.
Some good news in your consent agenda item was we had Petrelli, who's our contract electric crew. They had given us a quote of $267,000 to do a bunch of electrical line work. We were able, through Justin's management, it only cost them $55,000 to do that work. So we saved $212,000. Justin wearing our jersey as the inspector. And then also, we had them do another project up at the Christian Church on Balboa. There was a Bode power pole that, and some other, and it's one of these that has a bracket across the top and there's horizontal lines. They were able to do that to save, Justice Management saved us $10,000 in that. So while we use contractors, which tend to be more expensive, we always need to have somebody on site wearing our jersey, looking out for our interests. So, and some of you have seen the striping that's been done down at K Street. We extended that refuge lane out on North Needles or on Needles Highway by Wagon Wheel. We did re-slurry there. We did the paving on other streets. We're just about to go out with the next round of street paving, and I'll get you that map tomorrow.
Excellent.
What those streets is.
The school's parking lot at their administrative office looks good too.
Yeah, they did that. Yeah.
Okay.
So be glad to answer any questions or feel free.
No questions? All right, we'll move on to council request. Councilmember Kemp.
I already got the lights addressed. I do want to say that I've noticed, I don't know why, it doesn't matter if what was something going on or just a change in procedure, but I was in 2 different places in the past week where sheriffs were driving up and down the streets. And the person at both places said, "What's going on? Why are they here?" And I said, "Well, they work here. They patrol the streets." And I said, "Well, there could be something going on in your street, or maybe they're just patrolling the streets." So I just want to say you really got a lot of people's attention and they're talking. And I love that. I love that because we want people to know that you're patrolling the streets and that you're just around the corner somewhere, that you have eyes everywhere. And that, it got all of Cebola's attention, one end to the other this weekend. I mean, people were just talking, texting, "Do you know?" How did I know?
I like telling them, what's your address? When they tell you, oh, I can't tell you.
Do you happen to know where B Street is on that?
I'll give you the list.
Okay, because right on, when you come down Tacoma and turn right onto B Street, right in front of Tracy Hemline's house, there is a pothole right there. I mean, just right there in that turn,
B and.
which be in Tacoma,
Okay.
where you would literally almost drop your car into it. I thought I ran over a cat or something, and I backed up and I looked, and it's on both sides, like on both corners, there's really big ones.
Okay.
So I didn't know if it was gonna be soon, you're gonna be there anyway, or
We'll
you'll catch
fix
it.
the pothole.
So that, and also what's happening with the Santa, I know you hate this question, the Santa Fe underpass.
We.
Where are we at with that?
We continue to try and get them to break that loose. And it's just a permit to do the work that they are demanding we do. That we've already contracted.
Everyone paid for the materials.
Yes.
Okay, what happens, can we just do it?
No.
On one side, we could technically.
Don't think I have thought of that, but.
Technically.
If we don't get the approval, we just wasted the money putting it up on one side, so we'll get on them again.
We're gonna
Just
continue.
curious, well, this, because people are asking, and it is causing such a problem with traffic, and there's so much traffic here. 3 times I've come back from Bullhead, the traffic from the light at Fortright all the way to the bridge.
Yeah.
All the way to the Needles to the river. There's bumper to bumper traffic at that light. So I don't know if we can ask them to adjust their light over it and make it stay on longer.
Remember when they shut the light off at AM PM across the river when there was the semi wreck and they
Yes.
they haven't fixed the timing on that light
Yeah.
and you
It's
can
bad.
sit through 3 lights before you get
Before you
through
go
it.
across, it's terrible.
Maybe we should try and contact ADOT, yeah.
That's it.
Just for your information too, because of our industry in town, we're trying to figure out a new name for pothole. So.
Okay.
Right?
We can call it a rave.
I heard, I don't know, it was a rumor, but through the grapevine, I heard a business was closing. I actually heard 2, and one of them that you had said was being operated by somebody else. And But that's not good to hear, and hopefully, you were talking about with you and Patrick and going out there and saying, giving Needles a chance and promoting and Michael gave his great presentation, and hopefully we cannot, and hopefully we can talk businesses that are talking about closing down, we can talk them out of it. So yeah, that was sad to hear. Anytime a business shuts down, anytime we're pulling meters, it's not good. And another thing, I got a call from two constituents, two citizens that live right here in Needles, that one was very, very surprising, that complained about the smell of cultivation, specifically the Lily Hill one. We all know it's bad. We all drive on the freeway. We're not going to stop getting calls on this one until something's done. We got to get something done. So, yeah, that's it.
Okay, Kristen?
Just Route 66 Bike Week, say it again on Friday, just what Judy said earlier, on Friday from 8 to 3 in the park.
8 to 3.
They're having their gathering. And my other question is I don't know if we heard from it in a meeting or two, but what's the current progress on the Elgarses right now on the visitor center?
There is, they wanted to know if we wanted a presentation tonight. I said, no, make it at the next meeting. So Mr. Cropsey will be in with photos, but every time I'm over there, there's more. But they are, it seemed to be continuously progressing.
And then the grocery store, just where is that? I've heard fall.
Well,
And I'm curious about what's going on with that.
Mr. Mayor, the last conversation I had with the owner was, we will be open between Halloween and Christmas.
Oh,
Yeah,
And, but it's, might be worth a call.
It's better than soon.
it's still
Sooner than better.
fixtures.
oh, got it.
Yeah.
All right. Perfect. That's all for me. Thank you guys.
All right, Mr. Vice Mayor?
Thank you. I'm looking forward to attending the Southern California Government Assembly with Kirsten and City Manager on May 5th and 6th. It's an annual event with the Southern California governments.
Oh, SCAG.
I didn't know that.
Good. Ready? Yeah. Mr. Zach?
Your Honor, I have a couple things. I would like to look into state grant for salt cedar removals. They eat up a ton of water. State will be all over that.
Yeah.
Let's get rid of them. At least the ones along the highway. Let's repair the plexiglass windows in the caboose. No one's even gone to clean up the vandalism on that yet. It's been a few weeks. I'd like to thank staff, lane improvements on North K. They started clearing the arrowhead weeds at Jack Smith Beach. Thank you.
Good.
There were people on it last weekend, and they were using it. That's amazing. Thank you for
They're
the,
not hard to kill. I mean, they're not easy to kill.
but once you start taking care of them, they stay away. Thank you for the trash can at the train park, and citizens, thank you for the highlighted potholes filled on Balboa Street. I went and looked. It was, and last but not least, while we ask all of these, new companies that are building and whatnot, we do landscaping. It's rock, and we always ask for drought tolerant plants. Well, we asked for this and we plant them and we don't take care of them. If you drive down the hill, and someone pointed this out to me, and I've driven past this so many times in the last year and didn't notice it. The one corner on J Street and Broadway where we have rocked and planted desert, drought resistant, they're dead because we don't water them.
They're drought resistant.
Drought's one thing, but not watering them is a total another. So now,
Plant them and kill them?
right down the bottom of J Street and Broadway, all the ones on the left are dead.
Yeah,
Dead.
Public Works was watering them when it was from a truck
right.
once a week, but I'll double check.
I'm gonna say they haven't in a minute.
Yeah, we probably need to replace them. That was a lot of work.
Also, when we rocked the hillside that you drive up to Dollar General, There's 4 creosote bushes growing out of those rocks now. What's the point of landscaping and making it beautiful if we're not going to maintain it? And that's all I have to say today. Thank you.
Thank you.
Do we have anybody with a license to spray those weeds?
Yes.
Okay. I just have a couple of things. We got some exciting news. UTV legislation passed out of the committee unanimously, and I was on the consent. It passed. Republicans and Democrats backed it. It goes to appropriations next, so we'll keep you up to speed. But that's going to be great, especially for our winter visitors and stuff. When they're not on the river, they can be out on the UTVs or whatever. They'll be able to drive on the streets. And I had a great meeting since Rick and Patrick flaked on me going to Laughlin the other day. I took my beautiful wife. We went up and had a breakfast with Robert Bilbray, who owns Bilbray Ranch up there in Laughlin. We had a good discussion. I'll come down and talk to you and give you the notes on that. We need to follow up with him. And since Michael's here, I say one thing he's taught me for the last 10 or 15 years is that politics and in his realm, economic development is all about relationships. Once you've been to an ICSC and you develop a relationship with certain companies, like we did Dollar General, we did AutoZone, then the relationships continue. We had 3 or 4 developers that work with these other bigger grocery stores, outlets, everything else, that now know us by name. They like needles. We're represented by Michael in a very good way. He's had relationships with these people for a long time, and Rick, and now they've got me. They had Sean. It's about relationships, and Patrick's build those relationships now. And so if you get a chance to go and become involved, don't be disappointed that maybe we didn't get anything this year, but that relationship will build into something. We met 3 or 4 times over 2 years with AutoZone and got them in. I think every little thing is a good thing for the city, so I just wanted to mention that. And don't forget, we have to finish our closed session. If there's nothing else for anybody.
Do I have to stay for the closed session?
We're going back in, the council's going back into closed session on item D, conference with legal counsel regarding potential initiation of litigation pursuant to Government Code 54956.9D4, one potential case. And council member Longacre is recusing himself on that item because it involves a cannabis business.
But I think you should wait. No, I'm just kidding. Ellen?
I just wanted to say one thing. I forgot to mention something. I had the honor of going and sitting in on an advisory board at the high school. Rick was there, Brady, Patrick, and we watched the presentation of the high school students, freshmen, sophomores, juniors, and seniors. And they were amazing presentations on health, on safety, on homelessness. And the valedictorian of the high school shared her story about being homeless for her years of high school. And this is the girl who is going through one of 2 choices of the valedictorian of our school. And so we asked them if the students would be willing to give their presentation to city council and to the planning commission, and the school said yes. And Dr. Green thought that was really amazing. She was happy for it too. So sometime in the future, we'll get to see these brilliant students and the projects and the talks that they gave us.
Excellent. All right. Thank you, everybody. Have a good evening. This meeting is, we're going into closed session. We might see you tomorrow.